connected are you to your body? Do you listen to it when you're trying to make a decision or trying to understand how to navigate a situation? During today's episode, I'm going to guide you through a tool that might give you some insight into ways your body talks to you and how you can listen in. We will break it down to several manageable steps, and I will use a real-life example to give you an idea of how this tool can be used. Thanks for listening in today, and let's build some insight. In at least 2 previous episodes, we have talked about the idea of checking in with your body, noticing how it's reacting, and noticing if you can feel that reaction in a specific location in your body. Sadie and I explicitly talk about it within the context of decision making, and Joe, Elliott, and I talk about it in relation to feeling pain. Checking in like this can be challenging because in order to do it, you need to slow down and let the experience exist. Our goal today is to give ourselves permission to slow down enough and be curious about our body's reactions. We're not going to sit in pain today, but I am going to guide you through questions and describe my experiences using my own body as an example to help you cue in as we try to make a decision. Now, it can be common to be disconnected from your body because we can feel discomfort the strongest in our bodies, and if we disconnect, we feel safer. Feeling discomfort and emoting those feelings could show up as crying, verbalizing our feelings, and asking for help, which, as we know from my masculinity episode, are often looked down on as weakness. This explains why we have an automatic reaction to shut down what our experience is, especially in our bodies. We want to stay away from any yucky feelings, and we especially don't want to feel stuck in any of them. If you are someone who has not done the work to learn to sit with your body and to let the discomfort exist, then being cut off from feelings like sadness, grief, loneliness, and where those show up in your body can often be the best choice. But this also means that you are shut off from happiness, contentness, and relaxation. Someone who is cut off from their body once they start checking in might notice 2 things. Option 1, numbness, the absence of feeling, because that is what's safe. Or option 2, feeling everything all at once, like it floods in, so that their body then tells them they need to shut down again and go back to numbness because it didn't feel safe. My favorite metaphor to describe this experience is called the emotional backpack. Imagine that every one of us is walking around with an invisible backpack. Then, anytime something difficult happens that we're not ready to deal with, we put it in our backpack. Fight with my partner? Put it in the backpack. Problem at work? Put it in the backpack. Financial stress? Put it in the backpack. It can be really useful to put stuff away in our backpacks when we're not ready to deal with it. But if we never take that stressor or feeling back out and check in or process it, then eventually our backpacks get full. They can overflow, they're too heavy, they might even start ripping at the seams. Now, I know if you could choose, you would choose to never unpack your backpack. But our bodies will force us to when our backpacks get full. This can look like angry outbursts, crying, panic attacks, arguments, or even the opposite. It could look like isolating, refusing to talk, and shutting down. Today's exercise is not a way to unpack your whole backpack. We do not want to dump its contents on the ground and force you to look at it. Instead, I want us to find something in your backpack that is small, unassuming, and might not be too uncomfortable to take out and then notice your body's reaction to it. And if your reaction to this metaphor is, "Ooh, yeah, my backpack is stuffed and about to explode," well, maybe that's a cue that you should go to therapy so that they can give you tools to unpack the backpack in a way that feels safe for your nervous system. Podcasts are not a replacement for therapy, But it can be a tool to get you started on the journey towards getting that support until you are ready for therapy. Before we check in with a present moment example, I want to emphasize that there is no right or wrong here. The goal of this exercise is to be creative and imaginative and describe whatever feels right for you, even if it doesn't make logical sense. I'm going to run through all of the questions first and then share what came up for me so that my answers are not interrupting your train of thought. But if you get stuck or want to hear my examples as you learn to sit with your body, you are welcome to listen all the way through and then go back and listen to the questions while you sit with your own experience. So, with that said, let's try checking in with the body. First, I want you to think of a time in your life where you felt a 100% yes. It doesn't have to be a big yes. It could be something like knowing you wanted to take a job, or knowing where you want to go on vacation next, or even something small like you know you want pizza for dinner tonight, which was my yes example for a very long time. You can pause here if you need to think and return once you've thought of something. Now that you have something, I want you to think about the details of that yes. Again, you're welcome to pause my words if you want a moment to sink into your memory without me talking. The yes that I'm going to be working with today is when I did my first EMDR training, and I was learning about how our nervous system reacts to stress. It clicked for me, and I knew I wanted to learn more. I remember sitting at my computer because it was a remote training and thinking, I need to do this. Before the training even ended, I had emailed the person in charge and asked what steps I needed to take to get on her team. Now, thinking about the details of your yes, letting yourself sink into that moment. Where are you feeling it in your body? Maybe it's in your chest, your head, your stomach, your hands, your elbow, anywhere in your body. Where is that yes? If that sensation were a shape, what shape would it be? If it were a color, what color would it be? Does it feel heavy, light, or neutral? Does it feel hot, cold, or neutral? Is it moving at all? Does it have a texture? Thinking about my yes in my body, I notice it in my chest and my throat. It feels like a cloud in my chest, which, now my brain's seeing it as white. It feels light and airy. It's a neutral temperature, almost like it doesn't exist. And it's trying to float up and away out of my body. And it actually kind of feels like it's lifting up my lungs in the process. It doesn't have a texture. And it's almost like if I had tried to touch it, my hands would just pass right through. Now, this sensation that we've identified and built a shape for within our bodies, this is a version of our yes. Sink into it. Take a snapshot of it and try to commit it to memory. Now let that image pass. Maybe on your next exhale, imagine it floating down a river, or in my case, literally floating away because I imagined a cloud. And next, I ask that you try to think of a no. A moment in your life when you knew you did not want something. No, I do not want to eat that. No, I do not want to date you. No, I cannot work here anymore. Take your time finding what your no is. Feel free to pause and come back once you've got something. My no is when I knew I needed to leave my last job. I was transferred to a new team because they were making changes within the company, and there was a lot of uncertainty and confusion about the new role. I had sent an email asking if there would be time to ask questions about these changes in our upcoming meeting, and my new supervisor's response was something along the lines of, "Nope, we are not going to be talking about these changes. We will never go through questions like this in a group setting, and it is insubordinate of you to even try." One of my other teammates had already been written up once for asking too many questions and being insubordinate in their view, so I knew I wasn't too far behind on that same journey. I can remember sitting on the floor of my home office crying because I was so miserable. Again, emotional backpack, right? It was starting to spill over. I felt unheard, undervalued, and completely alone. This was the moment that I went, oh, hell no. I will never let myself get to this point again. And I put in my 2 weeks notice in that moment. So think about your oh, hell no moment and sink into those details. Remember where you were, what you were doing, what it felt like. And then notice, where are you feeling it in your body? If that sensation were a shape, what shape would it be? If it were a color, what color would it be? Does it feel heavy, light, or neutral? Is it hot, cold, or neutral? Is it moving at all? Does it have a texture? For me, sitting in my no, I feel it in my chest, my stomach, and my throat. It feels like a big blob. And honestly, I'm picturing kind of a metallic blob. It's kind of shimmering between gray and black. And it feels really heavy. It's also hot. I can even see it steaming a little. It starts in my throat, and it almost feels like slime slowly falling through my chest and landing in my stomach, trying to pull me down. It's smooth, slick, like it could slip through my grasp if I tried to hold it. This sensation that we've identified is a version of your no. Sink into it. Take a snapshot of it and try to commit it to memory. Now let that image pass. Maybe imagining it floating down a river, or you can physically throw it out of your body. Like, nope, I don't want you there anymore. I'm just going to imagine throwing this away, and I'm not going to deal with it right now. Now, let yourself come back to this present moment. Just take a second to look around your space, wherever you are, and help ground yourself back to where you are now. Notice the light and how it's hitting the objects around you at this time of day. Notice the colors that stand out to you. And see if you can let your eyes rest on something that makes you smile or brings a sense of calm to your body. It doesn't have to be a really great thing that you're looking at. It could just be something that feels neutral and okay. Take a breath there. And now that we've found a sensation for yes and no, we're going to put this to the test and see if you can notice how your body reacts in the moment when you are trying to make a decision. And in life, I know there are very few 100% yeses and 100% nos. But we can use these as a parameter to figure out where our bodies lie on the spectrum. Now, to begin this next section of the exercise, I want you to think about a decision that you need to make in the near future. Not necessarily a giant decision that is going to change the course of your life, but something that you've been stuck on. Maybe you're trying to decide if you want to cook or order in tonight for dinner. Or maybe you're deliberating on whether or not you want to see friends this week or have some alone time. For this recording and this example, I'm going to decide if I want to go to the gym tonight or walk several miles with my pup Juliet, because I don't have time for both. Feel free to pause at this point in the episode if you need some time to think about what you want to focus on, what you want your decision to be, and then come back when you're ready. Now that we have our decision that we're pondering, I like to take notes. So you can take them mentally or you can physically write down what you notice. It might help you get into the exercise. But I'm going to write about all of my options within a decision and what each decision would look like. Even if you know an option is not something you want to choose, for the purposes of today, write it down anyway. That way you can compare and contrast how it feels. And I want to emphasize that we are breaking down these steps on purpose. So you are not going to make a decision until the very end. We are just brainstorming. Working with my example, first I'm going to determine what my options are, and I see 4 of them. Option 1, go to the gym. Option 2, take Juliet for a longer walk. Option 3, go nowhere tonight and relax on the couch. Or option 4, go for a quick walk and then come home and relax on the couch when I'm done. The second step in the exercise is to work through what it means to choose each option. Again, I am not actually deciding here. I am just thinking about the details. So if you catch yourself going straight into solution mode, notice that and come back to the brainstorming space. So in option 1, where I go to the gym, I would need to walk Juliet first anyway. So I would finish work and immediately take Juliet on a quick walk, then come home, get ready to go to the gym, and go to the gym. Now, because of the timing of doing all of this after work, I would need to do a quick workout. That way I can get home in time to feed Juliet and myself dinner. And honestly, I could probably still relax a little bit before bed. In option 2, where I take Juliet for a longer walk, I would finish work and have some time to decompress a little bit, relax, then take Juliet for a few miles around a nice park. And because we have the time, we could drive somewhere new that she hasn't been to yet for some new smells. I could do a walking meditation or listen to an audiobook while I walk and then come home for dinner. And actually, if I felt up for it, I could even do a home workout after the fact. In option 3, where I do nothing, I recognize that I can't actually do nothing with Juliet because she is a dog and she sleeps while I work. So when I am done, she's going to have energy and want attention. So I'm going to need to do something around the house with her, even if we don't go for a walk, which means puzzle games, hide and seek, tug of war, probably a combination of all 3, knowing myself. And then after that, I can relax, read my book, take a nap, watch a movie, whatever I want to do until dinner. But because I didn't take her for a walk, she is still going to have a ton of energy, and I'm probably going to need to run through something high stimulation for her before I can go to bed. And then finally, in option 4, where I take her for a quick walk and then come home and relax, we would probably only relax for a short period of time after the walk, and I'll have time to decompress before dinner. But because both of us had had some downtime by that point and I'm around, I'd probably play some stimulation games with her before bed. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so I've worked through each of my 4 options. And feel free to pause here if you need more time to work through what your options would look like before we move on to the next step. In step 3, we sit with each option and check in with how our bodies react. Once again, I am not yet making a decision. I am seeing how my body reacts to each one and then use that to help support the decision I will be making in step 4. I'm also going to check in with my thoughts and my emotions as I sit with my body, so that way I can be fully present with whatever shows up. Because guess what? Our minds and our bodies are connected. It's all related to each other. Also, I'm not going to run through the same questions we ran through earlier. So if you need that as a reference as you sit with your body, feel free to go back to the start of this episode and listen to those questions I had to prompt you as you check in. So, checking in with my body around my options. In option 1, where I walk Juliet really quickly and then run to the gym for a quick workout before coming home for dinner, I am instantly noticing a tightness in my stomach and chest. It's like a crumpled piece of paper, which I have talked about in this podcast before and will talk about again because it is how anxiety tends to show up in my body. I notice that I'm feeling really rushed, and I can feel my body trying to tell me, it's like, well, you don't have time. You have to keep going. It feels really anxiety producing. So even though I would love to go to the gym, I also recognize that today is not a normal gym day for me. But I wasn't able to go on my normal day this week, so there might be some internal pressure telling me I have to go to make up for missing. Ugh. Doesn't feel great. Sitting with option 2, where I take Juliet for a long walk somewhere new and can do a walking meditation or listen to an audiobook, I instantly felt my body lighten. Not quite a cloud, but I don't really feel that crumpled piece of paper. I also felt my jaw unclench and release. My body seems to like this option where I don't feel as rushed. Okay, sitting with option 3, I honestly immediately, this does not feel right for me. I can just tell. And I knew this going in, but I put it on the list anyway because this exercise is about noticing how your body responds, not immediately jumping to solution mode. My body feels like it shut down. It's like a wall literally came down and blocked me from picking this option where I do nothing with Juliet and don't go anywhere. The truth is, I love going for walks myself, and Juliet loves it because she likes the exercise, but she also loves the stimulation of all those smells. So no matter what, she is getting some sort of walk today, and I know that. So moving on, sinking into option 4, where I go for that quick walk and then come home. I notice it also feels light, but not quite as light as option 2. I'm rooting in my brain, trying to figure out where my pause is. And I'm noticing a sensation that feels like guilt in my stomach, like this little tightness just in my stomach of almost like catching myself. And I know that it's probably because I work all day. And Juliet has had short walks every night this week because I've been so busy. And I know that I have time tonight for a longer walk. The weather is beautiful today, and I know that we'd both enjoy it. So even though option 4 feels good, option 2 feels even better. Now, finally, comes step 4, the part that you've all been waiting for, which is bringing everything together. And if you want to, you can make a decision here. You don't have to make a decision. You can keep sitting with it and weighing all of your options for as long as you'd like. And in step 3, we sit with our bodies. But in my example, I also shared some of the thoughts and emotions that I identified as I was sitting with my body. And again, I did this because it is all connected. We do not want to only listen to our bodies when we make a decision, just like we do not want to only listen to our mind. Every part of us, our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, our gut reactions, exist as data that we can pull from to make an informed and insightful decision. Looking at all of my choices and how my body responded, I'm leaning towards option 2 because even though I'm upset that I haven't gone to the gym yet this week, I know Juliet and I would both benefit from outside time. And I can always do an at-home workout if that guilt just really pushes that motivation. I also know that I'm going to have more time to go to the gym tomorrow. I can be flexible and I can choose what I need right now instead of what my brain is telling me I'm supposed to need. So what do you think of this exercise? Were you able to notice your body reactions immediately, or did you feel stuck? Did you feel your body react but struggle to give it a shape or an image? Whatever your experience, let that be okay. Sometimes checking in with our bodies is just noticing what becomes tight and what relaxes. Raised shoulders, a clenched jaw, tight fists can be signs that our bodies are on edge. A relaxed posture, your jaw releasing, loose hands, those can all be signs that our bodies are feeling safe and content in our situation. In the next 2 weeks, I challenge you to check in with your body just a little bit more than normal and see if you can notice changes depending on your situation. The more you notice, the more information you can pull from when it comes time to make a decision. You should be so proud of yourself today for trying this. It can be a strange concept if you haven't sat with your body like this before. So celebrate what you've accomplished. Even if you didn't like it, celebrate anyway. You showed up, you tried something, and that is going to increase your insight into your journey. If you have any questions for this podcast or any themes you'd like us to focus on in the future, send us a message on Instagram at insightswithuspodcast or send us an email at insightswithus@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please follow, like, or subscribe. I appreciate you, and I appreciate that you're listening. And if you want to support this podcast further, you can share some love on Podbean's Patreon program or buymeacoffee.com. Thank you for creating insight with us.